Hello everyone, welcome back to the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion commentary. We have unlocked almost every line on the map at this point. I think there's just like one more left to go, which is great. One thing I really do like about this game, which I think we only kind of glossed over earlier on. He's got the guy's growing on him. Okay, sorry, distracted. The progression in this game is very non-linear. Like, obviously you have to do a couple of levels in order to have the game really open up, but you can get all four of the different things in pretty much any order you want, and if you're ever stuck on something, you can go and do a different mission and go that way. And it might take a longer time because you're going around, but there is always a different way to go, which I really appreciate in games like this that are very challenging, in that you're never going to get stuck and not know what you're supposed to do at all, which I always appreciate.
In a game like this where the challenges are varied and some of them might not appeal to a given player as much as to other players, it's always good to have the option to go around something rather than trying to bullheadedly push your way through it. That's always been the appeal of non-linear platformers and the like, so you know, kudos on the basic game design principles there.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't just skip Labyrinth Zone, for example, or like...
Well, you can more or less skip Labyrinth Zone Act 1 with that alternate pathway. If you know, there's a pathway in the first act of Labyrinth Zone. I think it's the first act anyway, where you activate this little platform that you can stand on that floats you across the water and skips most of the level.
Yeah, but you're just standing on the block.
Better than playing Labyrinth Zone.
I mean, Labyrinth Zone also has you standing on a block and doing nothing. So I guess that doesn't really change much in that point. But like, I'm trying to think of, if you don't like Pipeland in Mario 3. Okay, maybe that's also not a great thing because you can skip worlds. But it's also right in your face. You don't have to unlock a secret doohickey in order to do it. Did either of you guys play a game called Baba Is You? It's a puzzle game. It came out like 2 years ago or so.
No, but I remember you mentioning it before.
Okay. It has a very similar structure in that if you're ever stuck on one puzzle, and the puzzles in that game are very, very difficult, you can just go and do a different one, which I just appreciate any game, especially one where it's difficult, that you don't feel like you're slamming your head against a wall, not doing anything. I think that's part of what made a lot of the kind of NES games that are known for their difficulty very infamous, is that maybe the whole game wasn't hard, but there was like this one part, like say the blocks in Heatman stage, for example, that was very hard, and people would throw themselves at that until they got frustrated and gave up. Also, I'm bad at sniping, so if you're going to tell me how bad I am at sniping, I know.
I mean, I guess the counter the Heatman thing is that you can get item 2 from Airman, which is pretty easy.
Yeah, but that fight's also hard. He has a whole song about how hard Airman is.
You know how, like, whenever people talk about classic Mega Man and they talk about how, oh, you can just go to this level and get this thing and it's way easier, that's like, yeah, but like, what if I don't want to play with a guide?
Yeah, that's always been my problem with Mega Man in general, is that
I mean,
the game's not really fun until the second time.
I'm more ragging on people who are like, oh, that isn't so hard. You just have to go here and do this, and that. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, figuring that out is part of what makes it hard. You're exchanging one form of difficulty for another.
I'm trying to imagine the people who had Mega Man X and were playing it over the weekend because they rented it or whatever, and they just chose Chill Penguin last. You know, like, imagine how much less fun that game is when you choose Chill Penguin last and you don't even know that the dash exists. Like, that can't be that fun, I imagine.
I've never done a next run where I didn't get the dash, so...
Yeah, I mean...
Or like, the dash immediately.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but how did you find out that you were supposed to get the dash first? Like, did you read it in...
No, I'm not disagreeing with your point. My thing is more not so much with X, because X kind of requires you to get the dash, so that's, I admit, is kind of bad game design. When it comes to classic Mega Man, your first time playthrough is to kind of just mess around and try different stages until you find something that might help you in a different one. And then afterwards, you kind of know the route. So
Right, yeah. My problem is more like the snooty attitude that certain people take when other players say that they find Mega Man too hard for them. It's like, yeah, it's easy for you, but you know the optimal routes. So I'm playing blind, you know?
I guess that's probably why 2 is generally considered the best and why people have the most fond memories with 2 is because the weaknesses are very... there's a lot of weaknesses for a lot of the robots. Like, it's... like, for example, Woodman is... Like, his programmed weakness is Heatman's... whatever it's called.
He's also weak to Metal Blade, so...
Yeah, well, everything's weak to Metal Blade, but...
not everyone, but most.
like, Quickman, too. Like, he's specifically weak to the boomerang cutter, but there's also the Flashman thing as well. So, like, a lot of the robots have more than...
Quickman's weak to Crash Bomb.
Oh, did I say... I said...
You said his own weapon, which is a Metal Man's weakness.
I meant to say the boomerang. I meant to say the Crash Bomb. Damn.
Yeah.
You know what I meant, though. My point is, Mega Man 2, a lot of the bosses have more than one weakness, which makes it a lot easier to find a weakness for a specific bad guy.
Also, I love how this is just a Space Invaders reference.
Yeah, it's literally just Space Invaders.
Including with the things you shoot through from behind to get a better view.
Hey, but it also, just like Space Invaders, it breaks through your cover as well.
Yeah.
It's surprising how well, like, Space Invaders holds up after, God, 40 years, is it?
Over 40, it's older than Pac-Man. I think it was 78.
Something like that. Haha, look at how smart I am. Oh, wait, no, I'm an idiot. No!
What happened?
I thought I was smart to be out of range of that guy, out of range of the bombs.
But he was outside of under the grating, so they could still lob grenades and stuff at him.
Oh.
Yeah, they have a thing programmed to shoot missiles at you if you're too far away. So they're like, no, you can't do that. Can't let you do that, Star Fox.
It's cool that they accounted for that in their design.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the simplest levels in the game, so I'm sure that somebody in testing did the same thing I did, and they were like, oh crap, we gotta make sure that people don't cheese it.
Yeah, but at the same time, you'd be surprised how many extremely easy exploits get through playtesting in certain games. Like,
yeah.
I'm talking easy and obvious ones.
It's just a matter of when I try to think about stuff like that, and people are like, how did this get through testing? I also remember that, you know, let's say a game gets 10 quality testers just for the sake of argument and easy math. And they put, let's say they're working on this thing for quite a few months. So those 10 testers put 1,000 hours each into making sure that there aren't exploits and stuff like that. That's 10,000 hours of game time, which is a lot. But then if you think about how if 100,000 people buy the game and play it for an hour, that's 10 times the amount of people, 10 times the amount of game time, I should say.
There's also a priority level where if they run into a game-breaking bug, they're more focused on fixing that than, oh, haha, if you do this one jump, it's one specific way, you wind up behind the enemy, you can just kill them, stab them in the back and to kill them.
Game testers hate this. Defeat the boss early with this one easy trick.
You also have to remember a lot of these exploits are kept in on purpose because they're either funny or they don't really affect the game too much. It's really just, oh, you can beat this one guy a little bit easier. Okay, we'll leave it.
Yeah.
It's not worth spending the man hours trying to fix
On the
it.
other hand, sometimes what you get is stuff like The Last of Us 1, where they were very deliberately trying at one point in development to have really good AI, but for whatever reason, they just wound up not implementing it. So they implemented a very sloppy AI that allows you to do some really brain-dead stupid things with the enemies. And that kind of exploit isn't funny, it's kind of experience-breaking, if that makes any sense. Like,
yeah, I mean, I can understand why they would need to have cut resources on that, considering that it's a long game and AI is very difficult
It's a
develop.
long and already very expensive game considering the graphics and voice acting and motion capture and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, so, and AI is probably one of the hardest things to develop because even though we call it AI, the enemies and stuff in a video game aren't really intelligent. They're just like really, really elaborate flowcharts. Is the best way to describe it.
Yes. And, you know, they got the flowchart right, more or less, in The Last of Us 2. They did not in The Last of Us 1. But
Yeah, so stuff like that, you're right. But if it's something like, oh, you can beat the boss by jumping up onto the wall and shooting it from above, if it's fun and it's only something like an experienced player would probably notice, I think devs are more likely to leave it in the game just kind of as like a little thing for people to do if they notice.
Yeah, but the reason that I bring up The Last of Us 1 is because The Last of Us 1 was going for a particular kind of gameplay experience, and it sold itself on that. So, like, the kind of AI that you see in The Last of Us 1, it wouldn't be much of a problem in something like Uncharted, which I believe is, like, the basis of the AI they ended up using. Because, you know, that's a funny action game, you know? You're not meant to think about it too hard while you're playing. Whereas The Last of Us is this post-apocalyptic survival situation where you're going back and forth between trying to escape and outfight brainless infected versus... and then other humans trying to survive. And the idea was that when you were fighting the humans, they would be quite crafty because there are other humans trying to survive.
Yeah, I guess it's just a shame that was one of the things I remember they really were trying to sell the game on pre-launch.
And then you can wind up
cut it.
in the final game. You can wind up doing stupid shit like throwing a brick in the middle of a firefight, and it completely tricks the AI into thinking you're in a sneaking section, so they'll just turn around and stare at the wall.
What?
You can throw a brick at the wall in the middle of a firefight. The enemy will just forget you're there and turn around, and then you can headshot them. It's really...
Okay, you see, I didn't know it was that bad.
It is that bad. You kind of have to... Like, once you know about it, you kind of have to deliberately pretend it doesn't exist in order to keep having fun with the game. It's kind of ridiculous.
Oh, man. Those are the worst kind of things once you know about them, though. Where just like, I know I can do this legitimately. I know I don't have to do this glitch or whatever. But once you know it's there, it's like...
It's always a constant temptation when you're in when you're in a difficult situation, because you know there's an easy way out. And you don't even have to, like, really cheat to do it. You just have to play by the rules that the game presents you. It just turns out that the rules weren't very well constructed.
It's like you're in school, and the smart kid in front of you just has his test open with all the answers right there, and you're like, I really shouldn't look. I really want to, though.
It's kind of like how in a lot of games you have the conal view from your character. And anything outside that cone either won't spawn or interact with you very much because they don't want you to get blindsided. So that's something a lot of speedrunners, a lot of just tricks will use.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, as long as you're not looking at the enemy, they are less likely to do anything to you.
In Devil May Cry, yes, add one to the counter.
I was going to say, I remember you mentioning that in the DMC 1 playthrough.
It's fairly well known that in DMC, the enemies will generally be restricted to certain moves that have sound cues when they're off screen. So once camera control enters the equation in DMC 4 and DMC 5, you can use that to manipulate the enemy AI into not doing certain things or doing certain other things, and generally give yourself an easier time if you know what you're doing. But, like...
I tried to cheat the system, but it didn't work.
You see, she knows how to design actual AI.
Well, yeah, that's because Marina is the only one in this entire game with more than one singular brain cell. I guess Marie has more than one brain cell, but she also only has one morality cell, so, you know, kind of evens out.
What, chaotic evil?
I was gonna say,
She's not chaotic evil. She's more like the most
She's true-
unapathetic,
she's more-
true neutral.
I
Of
was
all
gonna say
times.
I was gonna say Marie's more true neutral than anything.
Oh.
She does not give one flying crap about you at all. Is basically what's going on. You are a means to an end. So she's not like a bad person. She's just rude and mean. Like there's a in Splatoon 1, one of the Splatfest themes was naughty versus nice as the Christmas theme. And Marie got nice and Callie got naughty. And Callie's like, wait, why did I get naughty? I'm way nicer than you. And Marie's like, oh, I'm plenty nice. What about that time where? And then Callie's like, where you make fun of me on live TV every single day. And Callie's just like stone cold silent for that entire time. And it's great. I love the Squid Sisters. They are in the game, obviously, but they are only in the main campaign. I think like Marie has a small cameo in the Octo expansion. If you get 100%, you get like a quick text log from her. But that's basically it. Because the game also kind of assumes that you can do this first. You can either do this one first or the Splatoon 2 campaign first. So they can't assume that like Callie's already saved or whatever. If you remember the plot to the first game. Or the first campaign, I guess is the better way to put it. I don't know if I ever showed it off when we did the first the first campaign, but if you go to fight the final boss again, Callie rejoins the bad guys, and it's because she liked the shades that he gave her and thought they looked cool. So yeah. Again, they ain't that smart. Wait, why am I? Wait, why am I bothering to shoot? Yeah, there we go.
It's like the end's right there. Just leave.
Those things are just there to punish you for poor aim, really.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Or they could be there to trick you into thinking, oh, I'll get a bonus if I shoot them. It's like, nope.
I don't know if you get anything if you kill all of them. Like, you might get, like, orbs or something, but it's not really necessary.
I was going to say, I don't care at that point. I'm at the end of the stage.